In this video we shall review DBMSes setup and databases import process. As explicit links may change anytime, you have to Google for the latest versions of MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle. And before we begin, we have to mention that the next configuration is suitable for educational purpose only. Yes, it is not safe, it is not optimal, but it's simple and it's really easy to reproduce. So let's assume you've downloaded all distribution packages. Let's start with Mysql Installation. We have offline installer here, and so we start it. We shall agree to any option, leave any setting by default, and so on. So here we just click Next, Execute, then once again Next, Yes, Execute. The setup is now completed, and we are ready to configure our setup. Click Next, Next, Next. Here we have to create a password. Create a password that you may memorize or even write it down. Next, Next, Execute, Finish, Next, Finish, Next. Here we have to type our password, check the connection, Next, Execute, Finish, Next, uncheck this checkbox, Finish. And now we only have to configure a connection. Click here, type your password, save your password, OK, hide this panel clicking this button, and everything works perfectly. MySQL is now installed and configured. We may close MySQL Workbench for now and go on with Microsoft SQL Server installation. Here it is. Let's start the installer. Here we shall select Basic Mode, agree to the license agreement and click Install. And just wait. The SQL Server itself is ready, we may close the installer. And now we have to set up the SQL Server Management Studio. Let's start its installer. Here we just click Install and wait. Now the installation process is completed and we may check if everything works perfectly. Let's start the SQL Server Management Studio. Here we click Connect and we see everything works perfectly. Now we may close SQL Server Management Studio and proceed with Oracle installation. Oracle distribution package arrives as zip archive, so we have to unpack these files first. Let's select them all, copy, create a new folder, like setup for instance, and paste all those copied files here. Once all files are ready, we shall execute this one. Here we click Next, accept license agreement, Next, Next, create a password, something you may remember or even write it down. Next, install, and just wait. Allow network access. The installation process is now completed. Now we have to install or even just unpack Oracle SQL Developer. So let's open the archive, let's copy this folder, let's find the place where the Oracle itself is installed in our PC, here it is, and here we just paste that copied folder from archive. Once all files are extracted, we shall go here, and then we shall execute this file. And let's create a desktop shortcut for convenience. Create shortcut and move it here. And let's check if it works. Let's start. Now we have to make several preparations. First, let's create new connection. The traditional name for this connection is XE, Express Edition. Username shall be SYS, just this, nothing else. The role is sysdba. The password is the same password we've entered during the installation process. We may save the password for future usage, and now we shall check the connection. It works. Now we can save the connection and click Connect here. The connection is now opened and we are connected to the DBMS. In Oracle, it is an extremely bad idea to work from system user, so we shall create our special user. But first we have to alter session and enable that option that will allow us to create our user, and we shall create a table space with such a name to store our data. So let's execute this query also. Now we see that the session was altered and table space was successfully created. Now let's expand that tree, scroll down to users, right click, create user, username, let's name it SQL course. New password may be the same. Default table space is that table space we've just created, temporary table space, temp, granted roles, database administrator, no privileges here, unlimited quota for our SQL course table space, and click apply. Success, our user was created. Now let's scroll up here, close that connection and create new connection. Let's name it SQL course with the same username and the password we've just created. Save that password, default role, test the connection, it works, save the connection, connect. And that's all with Oracle. Now we have to create our databases and fill them with data. Let's open that folder SQL with scripts for database generation and data insertion. And we shall start with MySQL. Let's start the MySQL workbench. Here it is. Access our local instance, switch to schemas here, and then we shall create a new database. Let's name it library. For char set we shall select UTF-8 and UTF General CI here and click apply and apply again and finish. We see our new database here. Right click, set as default schema and open new SQL window. Here it is. Now let's go to our folder with scripts, with database generation scripts. Let's open this file in Notepad, for instance. Here it is. Let's copy the whole script, paste it here and execute it. And we see everything works perfectly. We may refresh here and see our tables are created. The next step is to fill our database with data. Let's open this file also in Notepad, copy it, paste it here, execute, everything is okay. And now we shall check if everything is okay for real. I hope you remember these two SQL queries from our previous video, and now we shall select the first one and execute it. And here is the result, everything works perfectly. Now we shall select the second one and execute it also. Also works perfectly. So now everything is ready with MySQL. And we shall continue with Microsoft SQL Server. We may close MySQL Workbench for now. Let's start SQL Server Management Studio. Here it is. Here we just click Connect, expand the database, right click, New Database, library name, OK here, new query. Now let's go to our scripts, database generation scripts for Microsoft SQL, open in Notepad, copy all the file here and execute. And everything works perfectly. Once again going to our scripts, data insertion scripts, this file, open it in Notepad, select all, copy, paste it here and execute. And everything works perfectly. Now let's execute those two queries here, but in Microsoft SQL Server dialect. We shall select the first query and execute it, and we see everything works perfectly. Then we select the next query, execute it, and once again everything works perfectly. So Microsoft SQL Server is now completely configured, and we shall continue with Oracle configuration. Let's start SQL Developer. Let's connect to the DBMS using this connection. Then we go to our database generation scripts. Select this file, open it, select all, copy, switch back to SQL Developer, paste, and execute the whole script. And we see no error messages here, everything is fine. Go back to our scripts, data insertion scripts, this file, open it, select all, copy, select all, paste, execute once again. And everything works perfectly. And let's test those two SQL queries here. Here they are. We select the first one and execute it with this button. Yes, it works, the data was selected. Now we select the second query and execute it. Once again, data and no error messages. So for now, all three DBMSes and databases are configured for you to use during the rest of our course.